back. Today we are doing frequently asked questions about our trip. So we have been back from our trip now for
6 months.
6 months. Holy crap, how has it been 6 months?
It's been 6 months because the coronavirus has stranded us here.
Yeah.
But such is life.
Wow. Our time flies in quarantine, apparently. But yeah, in the time that we've been back, we've gotten many questions from many people about our trip. So we thought we would answer some of the most frequently asked questions today here in this video. Starting with...
How many countries did we go through?
Do you know the answer?
I do not.
15. 15 countries. Technically, it could be considered 16 if you count Bosnia, but I don't count that because we were only in Bosnia for 1 hour.
We got a stamp though, so we were
We
there.
do have a stamp on our passport, but I count it as 15. Can you name all the countries?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Do I want to?
I'm testing him.
No.
I'm testing you. Go ahead. From the beginning to the end.
That's easy.
All right,
Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, China, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, though that's not the order they
That
were
is
in.
not the order. Fail.
Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Turkey, Greece, Albania, a bunch of crap, Croatia.
No. It was
And
not
then
crap. It was
Italy.
gorgeous. What was the gorgeous
Yeah,
teeny
but
tiny
those
country?
little spits of land that they call countries, it's hard that they're the size of Rhode Island. It's hard
What
to
was the
consider that
tiny
country.
country? Come
I
on.
don't know. I think there's a Montenegro.
There you
and,
go.
Bosnia and Herzegovina, and yeah, that's probably it.
Okay, so Montenegro, and then what? What was after Montenegro?
Croatia,
There you
Bosnia,
go.
Croatia,
Yeah, Croatia, and then finally
Italy.
Italy. All right, you kind of sort of knew the 15 countries we went through.
Oh well.
Anyway, so the second most frequently asked question we get is, how many miles did we ride?
And the answer is 7,400-ish.
Oh, I can tell you the exact answer because I've looked it up so many times. 7,357 miles. I don't know what that is in kilometers off the top of my head.
About 12,000.
All right.
Maybe 11,000.
7,400 miles and 11 to 12,000 kilometers.
Yep.
And then next we have, how many days did you spend on your trip?
A whole bunch.
256 to be exact. Once again, since I edited the videos and I put the day count on all our videos, I do have that number memorized for how many days we were on our trip. That's not how many days pedaling, actually riding. That's total days from the time we started in Bangkok to the time we flew home in Bari, Italy.
But where was day 0? Was that the day we arrived in Thailand, or was that the day we started
All right,
riding?
let's not get into semantics.
So it does matter.
Anyway, 256 days.
More or less. Exact.
All right, so those are the questions that we both know. There's no really interpretation of that.
But apparently there's a little bit of interpretation. But it's okay.
The wife is always right, honey.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Don't cut that out.
Yeah. So now for the rest of the questions, we've actually answered them separately so that we can play a fun game and make this kind of different. We have answered each of our questions separately and written them down, and we are going to reveal our answers to each other right now.
Okay.
Are you excited?
So excited.
I'm curious to hear your answers.
So excited.
Okay, so our first question, we're starting off easy with our first two questions. Our first question is that we get asked by literally everyone, what is your favorite country? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yay. What'd you
say?
I said Thailand, China, and
Yeah,
Greece.
they're basically the same. So I also said Greece, China, and Thailand in no particular order. But I felt like I had to put some honorable mentions in here. So my honorable mention countries were Croatia, Kyrgyzstan, and Vietnam. And the reason behind that for me was Croatia was drop dead gorgeous. The only reason it didn't make it into my real top favorite countries was because wild camping there was really hard. And they had a 400 € fine against it, which made the whole experience really stressful.
It seems like Italy doesn't really want you to camp.
I'm talking about Croatia.
I meant Europe. Europe in general doesn't want you to camp.
You can tell how much he listens to what I say. Anyway, my next country of Kyrgyzstan was on there, again, because the scenery was phenomenal, but the road conditions were horrific and the drivers were horrific. It's one of the only times where I didn't feel safe on the trip because the drivers were so awful to us.
It's funny, it's one of the top cycling destinations for that god-awful road. The, what is it, Pamir Highway?
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible quality road, but everybody goes there to go ride it.
You know, if we were to go there with the proper bike setup, with fat tires, and I think it would be okay. I mean, it's still a hard road.
I still would not enjoy riding that road.
Okay, anyway.
But
back on track. My last honorable mention country was Vietnam, because once again, epic scenery. Vietnam really surprised me in the best way possible with its scenery. It was just like gorgeous at every turn. But the reason that it could not be one of my top favorite countries was because the food sucked and the people were
too Chinese.
Yeah. Very brash and rude, and there was a lot of honking and just not, I guess I would say not like super friendly, just not a very friendly environment to be in. I don't know. Vietnam and us didn't vibe very well, but the scenery was absolutely epic, so I felt like I had to put it on there. Alright.
Next. Favorite foods.
Alright, favorite foods. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
See if this is upright. Is it the right direction? It's the right direction.
Okay, what did you say?
It's a Thai curry.
Oh, you are a lot more specific.
Pork and basil.
Okay, yeah.
That's also Thai. Mango sticky rice, also Thai.
Yeah.
And all Chinese food.
You don't put Italian food on there?
I do not put Italian food.
Wow. My family's gonna kick your ass next time you see them.
There's so much more flavor in Asian food than there is in...
Anyway, I could not get specific
food.
because my list would have been like all over this and you would have not been able to read it. So I just put general countries food. Thai food, amazing. Chinese food, amazing. Italian food, also amazing.
Pretty good.
All right. Next question.
Challenge?
Yeah. What was our biggest challenge on the trip?
Okay.
1, 2, 3, go! What'd you say?
I said dealing with monotony and geography.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of locations where it's very, very boring to ride through.
That's true.
Most of Asia. Going
Central
from
Asia,
going from northern China all the way across to Azerbaijan once you finally get in the trees is incredibly boring. Turkey was incredibly boring.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of monotony.
Yeah. Okay, so we have very different answers for that. Mine requires a little bit of explanation, I feel like.
Yeah, she did. Trust me.
No.
What the hell?
It's not about you.
It sure seems like it.
Not everything is about you.
I'm reading that.
Okay,
I'm reading my right.
So I put finding a balance between trust and caution. And what I meant by that was referring to the people of all these new countries we went through. So for me, it was hard to know when to trust people and when to be cautious, as in like if I was being too trusting, we were going to get ripped off. So it was, in some countries, it was really hard to know who was being nice to you and who was trying to rip you off. And being like the white foreigners, you're kind of looked at as an ATM in a lot of places, so it was really hard to be like, should we follow these people? Are they actually trying to help us? Or are they just going to rip us off? I don't know.
Yep.
That's what I thought was the biggest challenge of the trip overall. I can tell you the most challenging week we had was riding through Xinjiang, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But overall, for me, this is what I found to be the most challenging. It's what I find to be the most challenging traveling in general. Alright, moving on to what is one thing that surprised us most during our trip. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you...
So Warm Showers is supposed to be a really good touring community. Lots of hosts, lots of people using it. And it is in the US. And
Yeah.
it pretty much sucks everywhere else in the world. It was designed in the US. It's based on American mentality. It's based on American culture and ideals. And those aren't the same in Europe. Those aren't the same, and definitely not the same in Asia.
Yeah.
And so it just doesn't work.
Yeah. What I found funny about that... Sorry, Dan.
Yeah, we were able to find a few hosts that hosted us. Most of them were Americans.
Yeah.
All of them were white. European or American.
No, we had a couple local hosts.
Yeah.
But the people who weren't... I guess a lot of the people in Asia... They weren't bike tourists, which I thought was really freaking strange.
Yeah.
Like, they were just random. I'm like, how did you even find out about Warm Showers if you're not a cyclist at all? I found that to be interesting.
What we really found out about it is it's not so much a community, it's a website with a bunch of guys leeching off the community that's there. Because most people just stay and don't ever host.
Yeah, we had a lot of issues with people just not even responding to us. It was really hard for us to find hosts. But
yeah, and we were
true.
using it during a year where they were revamping their website and app, so it was broken most of the year too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. I was surprised at how few touring cyclists we saw on our trip.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just me. I expected to see not a ton of touring cyclists, but I expected to see a lot more than we did. I mean, for the first half of the trip, I can count on one hand how many other touring cyclists we saw.
We saw one on the first day, and then after that it was a long time.
I don't even remember the one we saw on the first day, but I remember
She was too hot. Too hot, overheated.
Oh, okay. You were staring at hot girls on the first day. Anyway, I don't remember that one, but I remember we met Lorna and Ollie in Laos.
Yep.
And then, what was the next one we saw? We saw one guy on the G213 in China. That's the next person I remember seeing. But it was a local Chinese guy.
Yeah.
Just touring in China. And then we saw, two or three friends in Xinjiang touring. Again,
Yeah.
Chinese. Local Chinese. And that's it until... Oh, wait, Kyrgyzstan. We did see multiple touring cyclists in Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah.
Because for some reason it's a very popular... Well, I say some reason. It's a beautiful place, but yeah, it's a very popular bike touring destination.
It's a terrible place to ride bikes.
Yeah. And then until that, or after Kyrgyzstan, we didn't see a single other touring cyclist until we met Zoe and Stu in Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
And every single one of these people that we met, with the exception of the Chinese guys, were going in the opposite direction as us. So we never actually got to sit down and hang out or ride together with any of these people until Kavala in Greece, where we met Kat and Lewis. They were going the same direction as us.
And we got to sit and hang out with a couple in Greece near Meteora as well one night.
Oh yeah. So once we got to Europe, we started seeing some more, but still very, very few compared to what I was expecting. Because I'd heard all these stories of people who go on these trips and they end up meeting all these cool people and they ride together and they camp together and it's this whole fun time. But I guess that only happens on the Pamir Highway because
there's nothing
we didn't
there.
do that and we didn't see.
Because everywhere else there's infinite number of choices to be made. The Pamir Highway is one road.
Yeah.
One shitty road, there's nowhere to stay, there's nowhere to get food. So you all camp together and eat what you brought.
Yeah.
So. Oh well.
Alright.
Next one. Fear.
What was your biggest fear on the trip? Ready, go!
You first.
Okay. Getting caught wild camping. What was yours?
Running out of water.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know why. This was a huge fear of mine, and luckily it never happened. But I was always afraid of getting caught wild camping, woken up in the middle of the night by, somebody whose land that we were on, or like the police or whatever, and them like kicking us out.
Yeah, I don't think we camped enough to get over that fear. I think after a while you do get used to it.
Yeah.
But we didn't have enough nights camping to really get used to it.
Yeah. And especially in other countries, because you're not really sure like what the laws are around it, unless it's like Europe where they have it posted on the side of the road. But most places don't, so you're like, I don't know, and I can't really tell if I'm on somebody's land or not, but we're just going to be as hidden as possible and hope and nothing happens.
Yeah.
Luckily nothing did.
Yep. Running out of water. It was hot as hell almost the whole freaking trip. It was a miserable experience being so hot for so long. We started in March in Thailand. Apparently that's the hottest time of year. 100 degrees every single day.
Yeah.
So when we were able to ride and finish at 9:30, 10:30 in the morning, it's okay. Riding through the desert though in Kazakhstan was miserable because you were going 70, 80, 90 miles with nowhere to stop, nowhere to get water. So that was pretty rough, carrying an extra 10 liters of water with us to make sure we didn't run out.
Yeah. And you sweat a lot.
I sweat a ton.
Like a lot more than the average person.
Yeah.
So you have to worry about that a lot more.
The heat bothers me a lot, so overheating was a big problem, and I overheated a lot.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things I disliked about the trip, was just how hot it was. We ran summer, which was nice. It was never cold, but it was always too hot for me.
But we survived!
We survived.
And we're ready to talk about it.
Yep.
Next. What was our most heartwarming moment?
1, 2, 3, go! You first.
When we got hosted by that local family in Kyrgyzstan.
They were very nice.
What did you put?
I like that picture with the kids in Sichuan.
Yeah. So mine was when we were in Kyrgyzstan, we rode like 120 kilometers that day. We rolled into this town, and Justin had found a hostel that was marked on the map. But when we got there, it was nowhere to be found. And we were just standing in the middle of the street, staring at our phones, walking around, like knocking on doors. We didn't see any hostel anywhere, and we were very confused. And this group of like 3 ladies, I think it was, walked up to us and asked if we needed help. And we said, yeah, we're looking for this hotel, but it's supposed to be here. It's marked right here. Like we should be standing right in front of it, but we don't see it. And so they looked on the map and they were like, yeah. And they looked at the building and they were like, they rang the doorbell for us and knocked, and they were like, this is not a hotel. It's just somebody's house. And we're like, oh, okay. And then they asked us how long we were going to be staying in town, and we said just one night. And they kind of like discussed amongst themselves for like a few seconds, not very long. And they said, come with us. Why don't you come stay in our house?
Yeah, that was very nice.
We were like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah, come stay with us. We said, okay. So they brought us back to their house, and they gave us a room and a shower, and they cooked meals for us. And this family spoke very, very little English. But why it warmed my heart so much was because they put such a big effort in. They all had their phones on Google Translate, and they made such an effort to communicate with us through Google Translate. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I found that so amazing. And then they left us with a parting gift. Okay, I have to go get it because I wasn't able to show it the last time. Ugh. Okay, I'm back because I had to show you guys. So that sweet, sweet family in Kyrgyzstan, not only did they take us in, they gave us a place to stay, and they cooked lunch, dinner, and breakfast for us, but they also left us with this sweet little parting gift of a handmade little clutch purse that the grandma of the family
from the
made.
90-year-old grandma.
Yeah. And they gave this to us because they didn't want us to ever forget them. Is that not the sweetest thing you've ever heard? I was like, oh my gosh, we would never forget you anyway just because you were so kind to us. You did not have to give us a gift, but they insisted. So, yeah.
So Kara has a clutch.
Yeah. So sweet.
Mm-hmm.
What was yours? Oh,
Kids
those
in
kids
Sichuan.
in Sichuan.
It was the end of the best day of riding too. My favorite day on the whole trip. We had a big climb up into the mountains and then like a 30-mile descent. And then after we got into town, real hungry, found a little crappy place to stay back behind the buildings in a hotel there. But we came out and there was like, I don't know, 10 kids.
Yeah.
10,
I guess the
15
kids had just gotten out of school or something.
Yeah. They were young kids, maybe 8 years old, but they all wanted to take a group picture with me.
Yeah, it was really cute. I'll insert the picture here.
Yeah.
In post. But yeah, that was really sweet.
Karen knows the answer to this one.
Okay. What is one thing that we would change about this trip if we were to do it over again? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Is it the same answer?
It's not going to be the same answer. Yeah.
And I drew a little bicycle.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I would take our bicycle. We bought a special one for this trip, the folding Bike Friday Tandem Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And it's a decent enough bicycle. It works fine for riding around and traveling with. But the way we had it set up for touring was not acceptable. There was just too many mechanical headaches going on. The rear wheel kept failing. And so I like our other bike. It's just as transportable. It's full size. It's nice. It uses standard size parts. You can find parts everywhere. It's good.
Yeah. Yep, so mine was skip the desert. So if I had to do this trip again, knowing what I know now, we now know that we both absolutely despise riding through the desert, and the desert was a giant portion of the trip. So if I had to do it again, I would have probably just ridden to Lanzhou in China and then flown from Lanzhou to Baku, Azerbaijan.
Or we would have gone to Lanzhou and then hooked right and gone to Xi'an and somewhere else. We would have still taken our 2 months in China.
Yeah.
And then flown and skipped all the way to Azerbaijan or Georgia.
Or, because I actually would be
Or all the way
interested
to Greece.
in doing this now, which I never would have thought that I would want to do this, but I would actually consider getting us Russian visas if we could before we left, and actually just going straight up north through China, through Mongolia into Russia, and then going over into Europe.
Russia would probably be a prettier trip. That would be really, really desolate.
Yeah. So I don't know if we would have liked that or not, but considering how much we hated the desert, Russia is definitely not desert. It is very desolate and open and not much going on, but we might have liked that better. So yeah, I would definitely skip the desert. Faux show. All right, last one. What is one piece of advice that you would give to somebody who wants to do a similar bike tour like we just did? Ready, set, go. What do you put?
Use standard equipment. Spare parts are essential. Without spare parts, you're going to go home. And if you use special equipment like we had, you're not going to be able to find it. You're going to end up coming home early.
Yeah, okay. So I said, I couldn't really pick one. So, yeah, I picked two. One was, I said, plan for the weather. So I think that our trip would have been so much better if we could have crossed through Central Asia not in the heat of the summer. The desert still would have been boring, but I think we could have accomplished it on the bicycle instead of having to skip by train if it wasn't super hot and we didn't have the risk of heat stroke.
Yeah.
So that was one thing.
That's true, but in order to do that, you'd be riding in winter in either Europe or in Asia.
Right, but so what I realized from planning a trip like this is weather makes a huge difference in your experience of a country or a certain area. So if you could kind of time out your trip to hit optimal weather in the majority of your countries, like if we could have not started at the hottest time of the year during the burning season in Southeast Asia, and we could have not ridden in the middle of the summer across the desert in Central Asia, I think that would have made a huge difference. Anyway,
but
so that was...
don't let the weather stop you.
Yeah, so that was one of the things. And then I also said...
Beside
decide.
Oh, that's a D?
Yeah, it's
Looks like a B.
So I also said decide what is most important to you about your trip, and then don't worry about the rest.
She learned that from me.
Yeah. So what I mean by that is, decide what one thing matters to you most. So for some people, like our friends Zoe and Stu, for example, their one thing was they were going to pedal every mile of their trip. That was what was most important. They were not going to skip any section by bus or train. The only thing that they were going to do was take the boat across the Caspian Sea, because you can't cycle across the ocean. So yeah, that was their priority, and I'll be damned if they didn't do that, with the
pretty
exception...
much accomplished it.
Yeah, with the exception of having to take, I think they had to take like one police transport in Xinjiang, and that was it. So yeah, that was what mattered to them, and they freaking did it. So props to you guys. I decided at the beginning, I guess Justin and I sat down. In the beginning, when we were planning this trip, we gave ourselves like a specific end destination and a time, like we were going to make it by just before Thanksgiving, and then we were going to come home. But we realized pretty early on in Southeast Asia that if I wanted to see all of the things that I wanted to see...
So I realized this very early on, and then I made her realize this.
Yeah. So he made me realize that I needed to pick one. It was either we make it to a specific destination at a specific time, or we throw that out the window and we see all the stuff that I want to see along the way and don't worry about making it to some specific country or city or whatever. So that's what we ended up doing. I decided that I would rather see all the things along the way and just see where we end up at the end. So that's what we did. And yeah, those are the two things that I would recommend to anybody. I think yours was really good too.
And those are the frequently asked questions.
Yeah. So those are some of the most frequently asked questions. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you have any more questions for us, leave a comment on YouTube or Instagram or wherever you want to leave a comment. And if there's enough questions, maybe we'll do another one. Who knows?
Probably not.
All right. Thanks for watching.